A big thanks to Sergeant Kim Thompson for making sure everything goes well today. She has spent a lot of time to making sure that we have a quality professional education, our professional development opportunity. And of course, Mickey Bankhead, our IT director, is here. He does a great job in supporting us in these kind of events. Now, I want to give an Amazon $50 Amazon gift card away. In order for me to do that, you are going to, let's see here. Yes, you are going to need to be near your keyboard because I don't want to decide who raises their hand first or who yells us out first. I want to let the computer do that by looking at the chat. So get your fingers ready. I'm going to put something here on the screen, and the first person who can give me the correct answer will win a $50 Amazon gift card. Are you ready? Here we go. Please name that person. Looking for the first person in chat room here. Yes, Esther. Esther wins a $50 gift card.
I'm not unmuted yet. I gotta mute myself. So shh.
For recognizing Debbie Begley, our new administrative assistant at the office. She's been with us now, what, a month or two, something like that. She has really picked this up quickly. So congratulations, Esther, and congratulations, Debbie, on being part of our team. She made a comment during the interviews. This job is in her wheelhouse. And so far, she has demonstrated that. Kim, if we can get you to mute here for just a couple minutes here. It's coming through. Excuse me. So our worship today is recorded. This allowed our speaker, Stephen Reese, to go on a mission trip. For those of you who know Steve, he works in our trust services department, our plan giving department. He's a friend of Christian education. He's a product of Christian education. He's a supporter, and he's an employee of what our mission's about. When he served as the business manager at Blue Mountain Academy before joining the Georgia-Cumberland Conference. But perhaps his biggest claim to fame on this earth is his wife, Esther, who just won a prize, who teaches at Coble Elementary. She is indeed all the things that we value as a Christian educator. We appreciate his accepting this invitation to share with you guys, who are a remarkable team of courageous, dedicated, mission-minded professionals. And you guys, I really believe it. I can't thank you enough for all the hard work that you've done in the last, 20 months now, since we've been engaged in this warfare of COVID while fulfilling our mission of Christian education. So Kim, push the play button and we'll see what Stephen has to say.
Associate Director. Of Grateful Living, which is the Plan Giving and Trust Services Department here at Georgia-Cumberland. And I'm honored to be able to have your worship this morning. I wish we could be in a gathering together, but I'm thrilled that we're able to at least strategize, talk, different things like that online. So it's a blessing. You know, I just want to say it's an honor for me to be able to be here today. And in fact, as I was thinking the other day, as I was driving my girls to school, I overheard one of the teachers, and they were actually talking to one of the students, and they asked this really interesting question. They said, you know, why don't you ever laugh at any of my jokes during science class? The teacher was saying, and then the student replied, he says, well, keep trying until you get a reaction. Get it? Wait for it. Oh, that's my laugh track, folks. Any case, all right. Now that I've got your attention, I want to have prayer, and let's start this morning. Lord, we want to thank you so much for today, for your love for us. Be with me now as I'm going just through the process of talking about my life when it came to being impacted by my teachers and how important it is that our legacies as teachers reflect you in all things. We love you so much. In Jesus' wonderful name, amen. I feel like I can kind of talk about the things I'm going to talk about during worship here. I'm a husband of an elementary school teacher. I'm the son-in-law of a retired teacher with over 40 years of teaching. I actually, for 6 years, was an administrator in one of our academies. And, I can honestly say without a doubt that you all are worth your weight in gold. In fact, better than that, you are worth your weight in Bitcoin. If you want to, technically, it's worth more than gold right now. No laugh track there. But, speaking of the money, it isn't the money really that you work for, in my opinion. If you take the amount of hours that you spend and then what you get paid, it's there are other things that you could be doing to make more money, but it's the mission. It's so important what you do, and I am thrilled just to know many of you and see the passion that you have when you're dealing with young people. So I just want to encourage you that I truly believe that God has called each one of you into mission right in each one of your schools. So thank you for that. But being a teacher or administrator is a huge amount of responsibility. In fact, a lot more than even many other types of work environments. If you look at it, the things that I do when I look back that I do today are a lot of times reactions of what I learned initially at home, but then actually from my teachers at school. And in fact, many of the decisions that I continually make have been impacted by teachers in my past. In fact, one specific teacher in northern Pennsylvania, where I grew up, it was a one-room schoolhouse. Loved it. In fact, one year we had nothing but boys in the whole school. It was the best year ever. I didn't have to take a shower half the time. Well, actually, hold on, wait for that. Thank you. I actually did take showers most of the time. But in the school, we had a teacher. Her name was Miss Baker, and Miss Baker, she was tough. She was rigid, but she was fair, and I loved her. And but I always tried to push her to the edge for some reason. I was in, I think it was second or third grade at the time, and she had this rule. Now back then, and you'll probably understand this. She had a rule that if you got 3 strikes in the day, that there was going to be a paddling, if you will. Up there, we called it, "Yous guys gonna get a paddle." Down south, y'all gonna get a whooping. I mean, basically, it's different now. They don't do that. But back then, I just have to say that I remember clearly I was testing Miss Baker. Wanted to see if she would actually follow through. And, naturally, I was acting up, and I got busted, and 3 times she checked my name on the board. But, when that 3rd strike went up, and she told me I had to stay after school, she called my parents, talked to them. I was going to show her, though, she was not going to break me. After school, I stayed behind while my mom waited outside the room. And now the worst part was not actually the spanking. Now, granted, I know we don't do that today. Sometimes we should. No, but it wasn't the spanking that hurt for me. It was weird. It was the 3 mild strokes with this paddle, and the paddle was wood, and it had little holes in it for aerodynamics, but it didn't really hurt. But the hardest part for me was not during, but right afterwards, I just broke down and cried. And I realized that I disappointed Miss Baker and that she had to go to that final straw, and it was my fault. And I had hated disappointing her. But the hardest part was not even just the spanking or the crying was terrible. But the worst part for me was as soon as we were done, she gave me a hug and she prayed with me. And I don't know about you, but it's hard uh, when you just got something bad and then they're like, "Let me pray with you." And I fought my way through it. And then later, I really appreciated. Now you can take away the whole whooping out of the whole thing, but just how much she cared about me, that she would pray with me. And a lot of my decisions, really, I think about, were impacted by her and by the way that she was fair, the way that she handled situations. She was so strict in certain areas, but she was also very just faithful in how she dealt equally with each one of us as students. So, I look back, I attribute a lot of my habits today to my parents, to my grandmother, and to several of my teachers, one including Miss Baker. But I want to tell you also about my grandmother. My grandmother was probably one of the thriftiest people that you would ever meet. In fact, when she passed away several years back, when we were going through the garage, we counted about, I don't know, 120 country crock containers, those butter containers. And she used those for packing her like Tupperware. And she also was a huge washer of plastic Ziploc bags. She'd always have them hanging around. Beautiful, pristine house, not overabundant. In fact, she bought her house in the 1960s and she paid it off in 3 years, which I thought was amazing, especially even though we can talk about inflation, etc. But that was a huge endeavor, and she really instilled in me the value of saving. But she was also a huge giver, and she paid her tithes and her offerings, and then she did a lot of other things, and she told us about it, and she walked us through why she did it and why she had wanted to leave a legacy of doing wonderful things for others. And it's been a huge impact on me, and I consider myself a saver by far. And she is really one of the biggest reasons why I'm a saver today. But before I get more into that, I wanted to read you a few things. Today we live in a country where stuff matters to many of us. We have more and more things, cheaper prices. In fact, when I was in Ukraine several years back, I was doing seminars on budgeting, as far as creating your resumes, things like that. And as I was helping people with their budgets, I realized that almost 70% of their income went to food. And they were living together quite often, many times grandparents all the way down to grandchildren. And the grandparents would stay back and cook and clean. The parents would go out and work if they could. But over 70% of their income went just to feed themselves, and the rest they had to kind of scrap by with. So I had to quickly change the way I thought and the way I helped people with budgeting. Because here in America, it's less than sometimes 18%, even less, is on food and other resources like that. And we should be the happiest people, and yet we're not. But sometimes having so much, being up with the Joneses, things like that, makes lifestyle creep very difficult as we continue to work, our pay raises, things like that, but we never seem to get ahead. So, they did recently a study of the top about 10,000 millionaires, and they did the strategies on how they became wealthy, different things. It's called one of them's the Millionaire Next Door, and just the very interesting strategies that they used. And I thought that I really wanted to know what type of working groups had become millionaires. And it's interesting that the top 3 you probably would never guess, maybe the first 2, but definitely not the third. So of the people that over time had become millionaires within their net worth, basically the savings, everything, you take away all your expenses, all your liabilities, and then you have your assets and liabilities, and their assets equaled over $1 million, whether it be the 401k, 403b, whatever it was. But the top 3 working groups that were still working but were millionaires, number 1 was engineers. Well, that makes sense. Engineers they think ahead, they design, they structure. Number 2 was accountants. Well, that makes a tremendous amount of sense. They're the bean counters, those that kind of figure out the best ways to save money. They're not always great at spending money. That's more of your finance side. But the accountants definitely are the ones that make sure and allocate every single penny and where it's going. So number 1, engineers. Number 2, accountants. But number 3 were, drum roll, teachers. And I was shocked because teachers definitely are not in the top 10 when it comes to income levels, income earners. Some people could argue, well, a lot of them have the summers off and they're able to work extra, but really they were budgeters. There were ones that actually, similar to accountants, were the bean counters, were understood where their money was. A lot of them recognized that they didn't want to live above their means, that they actually wanted to save, put a little bit back. And majority were givers, were strong in giving, returning a tithe and offering to their church. They were examples to others. So, again, you may not be in the millionaire category as a teacher yet, but I want to encourage you. I pray that you will be, but I pray that only if you can handle it. So several times I've met with hundreds of families working with estate planning, and several times people have had me go through their actual budgets, and I would sit there and I said, I pray that I want you to do well, but if money is going to be an issue for you and in your salvation, I pray that you're poor, because our treasures are truly in heaven and not here on this earth. And if we can't handle money, and if we're not going to be great givers and savers and make sure that our legacies are in the right place, then maybe it's okay that the Lord holds back on those riches, because it's difficult. But there's a Bible verse. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." So whether it's with wealth, I pray then that we are able to have wealth, but only if we can handle it. You as teachers have a tremendous responsibility. Me, in the work that I do, all of us in God's work have a tremendous responsibility to train those that will go after us on being great givers. I struggle in that area. Like I told you earlier, I'm a saver. And there's two types of people, I think, in this country. There are savers and there are spenders. And then the subcategory really is extreme savers and extreme spenders. I'm an extreme saver. I love to save. I mean, you ought to see the vehicles that we drive. We could afford something better, but for some reason, I struggle in what we call a depreciating asset, buying something that's going to go down in value. I love property. I love other things like that. And so I struggle in that area, but I recognize that that's my area of weakness. It's kind of ironic that I work in trust services, that I work in stewardship, when I, in fact, struggle in that area. And I have a daily battle. And I pray all the time because I need to be an example to others. And the Bible talks about money quite a bit. In fact, it talks about, and I think it's because it's one of our strongest area of weakness. In fact, the Bible talks over 800 times about money, and never does it talk anywhere about like debt being a good thing, or leverage, or these kind of things. It's primary that money is the area that we struggle in. In fact, it's the number one reason for divorce today. Number two is religious affiliation. But number one is actual money issues. And it's not the actual dollar itself. It's not the actual money. Money has no face. Well, I mean, technically it's got a face sometimes. George Washington, I prefer Benjamin Franklin. Where's that laugh track? Wait for it. Hey. All right, so anyways. But in all seriousness, money really doesn't have face. It's the love of money that drives us. It's what hardens our hearts. It's what makes us selfish. We in America, we spend more money per capita than anyone else in the world per person. We technically aren't the richest country per capita. In fact, some of the happiest countries are the ones that don't make nearly as much as we do. But yet we strive to have more and more things. We consume more things than anybody else ever in the history of the world. We are the largest consumers. So we recognize then, if we're not the happiest country in the world, but we are the heaviest consumers, that there's not a correlation with happiness. But I tell you, giving back, and what the definition of truly giving back is when you give something without expecting something in return. So we struggle often on how we give. And I'm right in that boat, personally. There are just times when I give my offerings, I give my tithing, and you would think you're supposed to have that complete satisfaction, like, oh, I did the right thing. But there are times when I stress about it. But I know that the reason the Bible talks about this, the reason why we as examples to others, how we have to teach the kids in our classrooms that giving is such a tremendous priority. It means everything. A lot of times it can mean salvation. One of the proudest moments in my life is when my son had gotten a job, and went in because I was a joint on his account, custodial account, so I could see what was going on in his bank. And I saw a transaction. I saw the money come in from his work, and then probably within an hour, I saw this little Adventist giving, and I saw his tithes and offerings. And I was like, that's it. I am so proud of that young man for honoring God, and I did not have to bug him. And, that's so important. When you start when you're younger, you actually will succeed, and it will become better as you grow older. And as teachers, we got to teach that. I think it's so important. My grandmother taught me being a giver. My teacher, Miss Baker, strict, and she talked quite often about giving back to God, and really wasn't even giving; it was returning what was His. And sometimes, we try to do it ourselves. Sometimes, and I found that to be an issue. I was so passionate about Ukraine and the missions there that I was trying to give directly from some of my tithes, and in the end, it was like, wait, why are you holding God's hands back from blessings? We give again without expecting something in return, but we also have a system that makes so much sense on where it goes, how it supports our pastors, how our tithing, how our offerings help our churches, through evangelism, all these different components. And I'm just blessed that we have this system. So I want to give you some perspective, though, as I close. I am so grateful to you all as teachers, because what you do impacts it's just that rolling effect. What you do impacts so many lives. And I want to give you some perspective when it comes to wealth, to giving. And it's a story that I read, and I want you to, if you don't remember anything that I say today, I want you to remember the story. There was a boy whose family was very wealthy. One day his father took him on a trip to the country where he aimed to show his son how poor people lived. So they arrived to a farm, and there was a very poor family. And as he considered, he looked around, and they spent several days there watching and helping the family with work. On the return, as they returned home, the father asked his son, "How did you like the trip?" This was not what he expected. "Oh, it was great, Dad," the boy replied. "Did you notice how poor the people lived?" The father said. "Yeah, I did," the boy said. Father then asked his son to tell him more details on the impression of the trip. "Well," the son said, "we have only one dog, but they have 4 of them. In our garden there is a pool, while they have a river that has no end. We've got expensive lanterns, but they have stars over their heads at night. We have the patio, and they have the whole horizon. We have only a small piece of land, while they have endless fields. We buy food, but they grow it. We have a high fence for protection over the property that we have, but they don't need it. Their friends are there to help protect them." The father was speechless. Then the boy added, "Thank you, Dad, for letting me see how poor we are." So here's my prayer for you today. I want you to think about the legacy that you have as a teacher. I want you to think about how you teach these young people and what you're teaching them. How you're being the example of giving to them and showing them how to give back, how to use God's resources wisely, how God doesn't need our money, but He needs our hearts. And He wants us to return to Him so that we are less selfish, that we can honor Him in all the things that we do, that we don't put all of our eggs into the financial basket, per se, for us to hold on to, but to be able to give that out and share with all those in need. So we have the privilege of serving God here in ministry in the Georgia-Cumberland Conference. But even more importantly, we have the privilege of serving God in our homes and in our classrooms and wherever we are as administrators. And I want you to be efficient. I want you to be good at what you do. I want you to learn, be better. Time is valuable. We can never get back our time that we lose. And I want you to remember that you are doing an amazing work for God. And I am honored to know you. I'm honored to be serving with you. And we're here to help in any way we can. But I want you to also have balance. Remember that even though you're an example to others, that the pressure is not all on your shoulders. that God is there. He'll only give you what you and He can handle together. And you also have an amazing support staff here at the conference with Kevin and the crew. I'm just honored to be just here in the same building with them. You know, life is fragile. Use every moment you have to work on that legacy, to become better in your craft, to spend more time with your family. And life is beautiful, but I cannot wait for our next life in heaven. So again, I'm honored to have been able to have worship this morning, and I hope maybe you got something out of it. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Let's pray. Dear Lord, I want to thank you for each one of the teachers and administrators that are listening to this today. I ask that you be with them, give them courage and strength, help them to know that that they have a huge responsibility, and a lot of people are watching, but they have you to protect them, to guide them in the direction that they should go. And we're so thankful for your love for us, that you continue to provide and care for us. Help us to remember to be great givers, to honor you in those areas, because again, those are, for many of us, are the areas that we struggle in. Give us only what we can handle with you at the helm. In Jesus' wonderful name, we love you so much. Amen. You take care. Have a wonderful day. Spend some time with family. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you soon.
Thank you, Stephen. We appreciate that. I'm glad he was able to do double duty, do that wonderful worship thought for us, but also to be on a mission trip. So Zoom is a wonderful thing. It allows us to be at two places at once and serve the Lord twice as much in many ways. As we get started, I want to just kind of go over some norms, talk about a PowerPoint that I'd like to share with you. Seems like we're kind of getting the hang of, I'm not doing so well here, guys. See if I can get my PowerPoint up now. Thank you. And now I'm going to see if I can share. Got it. Kevin's coming to the rescue, so thank goodness. So I want you to see that we're on a road trip together today. It's kind of a virtual road trip, but we felt like that it's very important for us to be working on language arts. And so I just wanted to go over some norms for the meeting today. Please keep your, put your name and your school in your chat box. I know some of you have told me that you're from a son-in-law's computer or on your phone, so that would be great to know who might actually win a prize. Keep yourself muted except in a breakout room or activity room. Enter any questions that you might have during a presentation in the chat room, and remember that each presentation in chat is being recorded. Now, we talked about convention norms, and I want to share something else with you that I'm not real sure is a norm, but I want you to look at what teaching during the COVID crisis has done to one of our fearless leaders, Joel McQuiston. Oh, thank goodness. Actually, it was part of the School Spirit Week. And in the spirit of being all in, which is actually their spiritual theme for this year, we award a special gift card to Wigs or Us, to Joel for his all in spirit. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after this and how his hairstyle might change. So Joel, thanks so much for sharing that and playing with us today. Today's journey, I want to tell you a little bit about the morning. This tells you we're about ready to go into several presentations of some possibilities for professional development. And then in a few minutes, we're going to start our presentation with Lynn Maloney from Kendall Hunt. One thing I do want to remind you is about some of our professional requirements. We're going to be sending out information to you in emails. And one of the things that we want to help you with is if you don't know how much professional funds you have, Georgie has just recently sent out an email, and you can contact her and she will let you know about that. Anything that has to do with professional development in the subject, it's going to say road trip to professional development. So that should help you a little bit know what's going on. And then when we start with Lynn, one of the things that we're going to talk about is there's lots of videos to watch, and this will be just a tally sheet for you to be able to keep up with those hours. Some of them may be of interest to you and some of them may not, but this is what Kendall has to offer on their website. And then finally, we'll take a break at 12 o'clock until 1 o'clock for you to cruise through your kitchen and see what's in the refrigerator. And then we'll begin at 1 o'clock, and we will be using that same link as this morning. So appreciate you all very much. And we'll be trying to put some things in the chat for you as we go along. We're going to start out, first of all, with Angela, who's going to tell us about some opportunities with early childhood and equity advocates. Angela, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. As you know, I am trying to move everything out of the way. I got several things going on here. All right, slideshow, here we go. Technology, huh? Okay, so as you know, I am the Southern Region Director, and some of you may not know, I'm also the ECE coordinator, and according to NACE, that goes from birth to 8 years old. So if you are a first, second grade, or even a third grade teacher, you may see me pop in early. The pre-K and K already know me, but if you are first or second and third, you may see me as well. And if you did not know, we have started a new program called Equity Advocate, and I'm that coordinator as well. Some of you have already signed up for foundations. Tomorrow, we are having a training 9 to 2. Make sure you check your email. We do have a couple of slots available. If you have not responded to me, please send me an email. We have only like 3 or 4 slots, and we are going to accept some third graders because third grade teachers, because we do want to make sure all those slots are filled. Make sure you download the handouts. And if you have teacher materials at your school, please grab them. If you don't, that's fine, but make sure that you have your handouts. Also, for early childhood, we have had accreditation training. And if you would like a recording, please send me an email. You could watch that and you could get 2 clock hours. We are making sure that all of our centers are accredited, as well as our pre-K programs. This is for all ECE teachers and up to 2nd grade. We have a training that's coming up that's done by Southern Union. You can attend that tomorrow if you're not in the foundations training, or you could choose October 26th. And for all of our 3rd through 8th grade teachers and principals, we will be doing our equity survey. Once again, we're going to do it the week before Thanksgiving. We're going to do it in October, but I know you already have 2 surveys out there, so we're going to hold that off until November 15th through the 19th. Make sure you connect with your equity advocate to help administer the survey. And I would like to give away a gift card. So the first person who could write the answer to this question in the chat, according to NACE, early childhood education covers which age groups? And Kim, if you see the winner, let them know.
Oh, I see so many people popping in. They were good listeners a few minutes ago. Who was the first one? Oh, looks like it was Denise Salisbury. Denise, congratulations.
All right, birth to 8. And I just want to, last thing, NACE is having their annual conference. It's amazing every year. It's going to be virtual. Use your professional development funds, November 6th through the 9th. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you, Angela. Jonathan, can you tell us a little bit about the Adventist learning community and some opportunities for professional development there?
Absolutely. So as you noticed, we were shortchanging you a little bit this year on our CEU opportunities here with the teacher convention, because we normally have those 12 hours, but we want to make sure that you can fill that time up over the course of the year. So we just want to remind you of this fantastic resource that we have, the North American Division has put together. That's called Adventist Learning Community. Some of you have used it. Some of you may not even know about it. They have partnered not only with educators and college professors across the division and the really actually the world to create courses, but they partnered with Simple K-12. And there's probably 900 classes total that are available to advanced teachers. When you get yourself logged in, and if you have trouble logging in, just let us know and we'll help you get in. But I did a search just to see how many courses would be available just for classroom management, and there were 78. So, and they're really good. They don't put stuff up that's not high quality. So I hope you'll take advantage of looking for something that works for you. There is a multi-grade pathways course that's really good as well. And for principals, there's other things there for you as well. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing. If you're a chaplain or a music person, you'll find something in here that will probably make you feel like it's worth your time. So with that, I would like to offer a $25 gift certificate. And I wrote myself this question because I'm going to use some very specific words here. Let's see who the first person is that can give me the answer in the chat box. What are the report card subject marking codes we are using this year for grades 1 to 2?
Yes, that's
And that goes to, oh, wow, this you guys are fast. I couldn't even. Oh, I think it's going to be Jim. Yes. Right? Did I look at that right, Kim? Jim, you got it.
yes, Jim got it.
There were a pile of you that just shot that right in there. Good job. All right. Back to you, Kim.
Thank you so very much. Jana, can you tell us a little bit about math, MAPS, and the professional learning communities?
Yes, ma'am. I think I'm your last detour before we get on this road to LA. So this detour is going to be through the cities of MAP and math. And just a couple of more ways that you can get some CEU credits is for MAP. You can go on to prolearning.nwea.org, click on the course catalog, and you will see lots of options of courses you can take. If you look at the bottom left, the bottom row, you can see there's key reports for teachers. That one's a real great one if you're interested in learning more about the score reports. On the bottom, bottom right, the bottom left, you can see goal setting courses that you could take. And then a few more courses I just pulled up, more goal setting. And then if you see the course in red, that's a map reading fluency course if you're interested in that. So check out the Pro Learning site for MAP. And then for Big Ideas Math, if you'll go to cengage.com, you can see all those archived trainings for the new Big Ideas if you haven't been through those yet. Then just a couple of more recommendations I have, the ALC website that Jonathan mentioned. If you'll just search for math on there, I pulled up just a few that I found quickly in a search: strategies for elementary math, number sense, educational games and math. There's just so much on there. So you can search by topic on the ALC. And then the last thing I wanted to share is we have some local opportunities for professional development that we put on. One of those is our professional learning communities. We have 4 of those that have just gotten started, and you can still join those. You can see the dates there that they're going to meet. Those communities are game-based learning, struggling readers, Forest School, and Marzano's standards-based learning. So if you want to join any of those, come join. And then also there is a weekly Zoom on Thursday nights at 5 p.m. Eastern time for teachers of 3rd grade math. And you're welcome to join that anytime to get credit for that as well.
Thank you, Jana, so much for sharing with us. Angela, now we get to have everybody stand up and do a quick wiggle, and then we'll get ready to hear from Lynn Maloney, and we'll let you introduce Lynn for us. So take a 15-second stretch break. You've been sitting for 30 minutes or more. Wiggle, get yourself a drink, and we'll be ready to go on this road trip to language arts, starting with Pathways 2.0. I guess we're through stretching, Angela, so I will let you introduce Miss Lynn and look forward to our time together learning about pathways.
Okay, I have the pleasure and the honor to introduce Ms. Lynn Maloney. She is the K-12 Director of Institutional Publishing at Kendall Hunt, Pathways 2.0. And I have had the pleasure of calling her, emailing her, asking questions, and I'm pretty sure some of you have as well when it has come to Pathways 2.0. And so we wanted to make sure that as we're taking this road trip to LA or language arts, that we understand Pathways 2.0. So we decided as a team that we would bring in Lynn to help us. So thank you so much, Lynn, for coming and being our presenter for this morning.
Good morning, everyone. And I hope, first of all, I'm going to troubleshoot my technology to make sure you can hear me. Kim? Okay. So thank you for inviting me on your road trip. Both Kim and Jonathan, I've had the opportunity to again visit with you all in the last couple of weeks as we prepared for this road trip to make sure we have everything packed and ready to go and in our vehicles. As I was introduced, yes, my name is Lynn Maloney, and I am the K-12 Director of Instructional Publishing, or Institutional Publishing, excuse me. I don't know my own title there. For over 18 years, I've had the privilege of working with writers, educators, and like-minded professionals to develop not only traditional programs and resources, but custom curriculum solutions that reflect the needs of your school system. So speaking on behalf of Kendall Hunt, we are so pleased to have had the opportunity to collaborate with the NAD Office of Education on this major revision of Pathways. At times, we like to say we make your dreams a reality. To better meet the specific needs of our faith-based private educational community, Kendall Hunt established the Kendall Hunt Religious Publishing Custom Solutions Group. Our mission has been to create and publish high quality, customized programs and resources that support the educational mission and objective of our publishing partners.
Lynn, I hate to interrupt you, but we're just seeing a shot of you being exercising out on the ledge and didn't know. Yeah, we're not seeing the PowerPoint. Sorry, didn't want you to get.
Okay.
Didn't want to go too far.
Right, and our screen share, is our screen share working? Are you seeing that screen share?
No. But the screen share is available to you.
Yes, and it seems like I have it.
It's like we saw it until you started talking.
Huh. Well, that is odd.
Ma'am, you're muted. I don't know if you're meaning to talk or not.
Okay, I'm muted. Well, we're all learning technology, Zooming
Right.
technology.
Well,
Maybe try stop sharing and reshare.
Terry Greenlee, where's Terry at? I love this. Oh, basic.
I'm seeing
some big stuff.
Yeah, I'm seeing some individual participants' names come up, and I think it's because they're not muted. Okay.
Let's just hold tight here and give her a second to work out the kinks on her end.
Lynn, we might suggest that you disconnect and reconnect.
Okay, Jeff, here's where you fill in and tell us about your story, your trip to the Grand Canyon.
Sad thing is, I'm not sure if you're serious or not.
Neither am I.
Is that coming up now?
No,
Wow.
I think you might do better if you just disconnect your Zoom and then reconnect.
Okay, and
See-
relog
see-
in. Okay, I will do
Yeah.
that. I will.
Well, Jeff did have a rather interesting trip to the Grand Canyon.
Nothing quite like breaking down in the middle of the desert, but God provides a way out every time.
Don't you teach your kids writing, and can't you share some more vivid details with us, or just? No?
It's theater of the mind. I'm just letting them just go wherever they want with their mind. But Pathfinder
Good.
training always
Good.
comes to play.
Good, Jeff. Good.
Man, a few words. Thank you.
Hey, you guys would be happy to know that we've eclipsed the 2,500 student number. We haven't had done that in years. So most of our schools enrollment's really up. And if you haven't heard this, GCA has record enrollment. We have 300 and I think it was 6 kids last we checked. So parents have returned.
Where's all the cheering?
Yay. Jonathan, there is a request from Karen. If you could share how to access the Adventist Learning Community again.
And Esther already answered it.
And Esther, the other Esther already answered it. So thank
Yep,
you for
there's a
being
nice-
our
Thank you,
Esther.
Esther.
Kim,
got
could
a
you
Kendall
confirm
Hall
that you can
slide.
see that?
You can see a
Yes.
slide.
I can-
Yes.
Great job.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, we're
We see
good to
Kendall
go.
Hall, K-12 education.
All right, and I'm going to just move to a next screen or slide, excuse me. Is that showing up?
Yes, it is.
Super. Well, I'm not quite sure. Kim and I, we went through the technology aspects a couple times today. So thanks everyone for your patience. We had a little road trip. We had a pull over there for a while. So back what I wanted to talk about was the Kendall Hunt Religious Publishers, where we developed this customized solutions group. So our mission has been to create and publish high quality, customized program and resources that support the educational mission and objectives of our publishing partners. We have collaborated with the Seventh-day Adventist North American Division Office of Education on a number of projects, and you'll probably recognize a number of these. First of all, Kindergarten Stepping Stones, By Design Science, the new By Design Biology program, and Kendall Hunt and NAD collaborated on the development from Pathways to the revision of Pathways 2.0. Pathways 2.0, A Journey to Excellence Through Literacy, provides instructions in cherishing the meaning of knowledge through reading, writing, listening, and speaking. This faith-based curriculum is built on the Adventist worldviews and the belief that Christ is the model teacher. Pathways 2.0 is an integrated language arts program that includes reading, writing, phonics, spelling, word study, comprehension, and study skills, grammar, vocabulary, and handwriting. The lessons found in each unit provide rigorous academic quality and align with the standards of proficiency and literacy. The curriculum provides a variety of avenues for students to become diverse readers, writers, listeners, and speakers. So to sum this up, regarding the major revision, it's a faith-based curriculum built on the Adventist world's views. Instruction in reading, writing, listening, and speaking is very important. It incorporates the appropriate complex text, which we refer to as the anchor text, that will engage the students while incorporating research-based skills and strategies that enable them to become lifelong learners. And knowledge is built through content-rich nonfiction. And finally, again, there's a focus on speaking and listening skills, which the first edition, we really didn't focus on that. The philosophy of the program is that student-centered learning is integral when designing an educational framework. Curriculum, assessment, and instruction are only effective when designed and delivered with consideration for each learner's spiritual, mental, physical, social, and emotional development. A student-centered curriculum begins by providing students with clear and transparent learning goals. And as you know, we refer to those as standards, and those are identified very clearly in the curriculum. The curriculum is designed so that both teachers and students focus on these standards throughout the process of instruction and assessment. More details on the philosophy of the program can be found in your teacher manual. So what we want to do today is really go through some of the key components of the program. Obviously, I just spoke about the standards, and it's the goal of Pathways 2.0 to optimize literacy and language for all the students. The NAD elementary English language standards identify what students should know and be able to accomplish. These standards are organized by the reading, writing, listening, speaking, and language arts goals of the program. There are new teachers manual, which covers grades 1 through 8. There are 72 new comprehensive daily lesson guides. These are hybrid, print, and digital for each one of the anchor text. And then there are the anchor text, and there are about 27 new titles of anchor text. Additionally, there are new writers' handbooks for grades 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5+. And other resources include the Random House Book of Poetry, Basic Reading Inventory by Jerry Johns, guided reading and phonics components for grades K through 2, and there's a subscription-based Learning A to Z program. The other thing that I would note that handwriting time is scheduled in the daily lesson guide, and handwriting books need to be purchased separately. So you'll need to check with your conference leaders regarding the handbooks that are recommended. I want to take a quick look and look at the standards and compare those to the scope and sequence of the program. Here's a quick screen captures of the detailed scope and sequence. This ensures that all the standards are covered. They are systematically embedded throughout each one of the units of instructions. And many Adventist schools, as you know, are multi-grade. Pathways 2.0 is designed to be used successfully in either single grades or multi-grade classrooms. Standards are aligned between grade levels so that the multi-grade teacher can focus on that standard and differentiate between grade levels. The intentional correlation of the standards, and you'll see that pretty clearly here, but if you have your teacher manual, you'll see it even more, is grades 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8 allow for that alternating instruction, which sometimes we refer to as that odd even year. However, because of the hierarchy of skills in grades 1 and 2, the units are written to be taught separately. Spiritual applications that help students make good choices in life as well as in reading. Our reading of the content is one of the key features of the program. Additionally, reading strategies that foster inquiry, systematic instruction, and the ability to read, comprehend, and apply complex text. Reading motivations that will help students develop a lifelong passion for reading. And writing instruction that support and encourage writing practices for different purposes and different audiences. Word study is embedded in the program through systematic daily practice in phonics, phonetic awareness, vocabulary, and spelling. And spelling handbook, handwriting, and grammar skills, these are essential and are addressed specifically throughout the development of that child. There's a variety of assessment tools that are included in the daily lesson guides and ways by which to handle classroom management, which include whole class, small group, and individual students or independent learning. The teacher manual, again, is an essential component because it provides the information necessary to build a strong literacy program that includes the philosophy of teaching and learning in English language arts, a comprehensive scope and sequence. It includes the full scope and sequence, so you can take at a glance what is coming up in not only the year that you're teaching, but also being able to address your multi-grade needs. There's a variety of ready-to-use classroom resources. These are used throughout the year. So the teacher manual is the key component by which you'll be able to find those resources. And there's detailed instructions, strategies, reference charts, research-based assessments, and finally, the Adventist worldview charts that are included in the teacher manual. This chart gives you a good indication by which where can I find important components of the program. So again, in the teacher manual, the Adventist worldviews chart is where you'll find them. But then on the daily lesson guide, you'll find the specific biblical-based essential question and big ideas based on the theme of focus. Teacher manual includes the full NAD elementary language arts standards, and then the specific standards that are being covered by grade level and theme are found in your daily lesson guide. I can go through all of these, but I think you get the gist of where things should end up following and where are my resources that I need.
Right.
Reading workshops and writing workshops are going to be an essential part of our instructional block. So what we also have is a comprehensive daily lesson guide. There are 72 of them, and they're all brand new. And what I like to refer to these as the daily lesson guides are self-contained. And that being that all the content that is necessary in order to teach that theme is organized per theme, as well as the black line masters are used at point of use, and they're also available in the appendices of the product. Later on, I'll also talk about a little bit more in depth and show you how to log into how to access your daily lesson guides and your teacher manual. And also I'll talk about the ebooks that are now available. Here's a couple key components of the program. The daily lesson guide has these key features, which are templated and they're consistently found per grade level. Page 1 shows the unit introduction, which features the focus of where you will find the essential question and big idea of the theme. The second page indicates the standards that are going to be addressed in that particular daily lesson guide. And then the chart includes suggested assessments that would be covered throughout the learning of that daily lesson guide. And finally, at a glance pages that address by week and by day the plan of instructions. Again, this is organized by the 4 weeks of study. The literacy blocks, again, are essential components of Pathways 2.0. Here are reduced pages that show the word study, the reading workshops, which include whole group, small group, and independent reading, and the writing workshops that provide instruction and time for learning to write in meaningful ways. We will take a more in-depth look at this as we get into drilling down the key components. And then anchor text. The anchor text in the new revision of Pathways 2.0 encompasses about 22 new titles. Additionally, some of the titles that were in Pathways, the first edition, have been moved around in order to pair them up better with the Lexile leveling. Please note that when selecting these texts, recognition of and respect for the diversity of our world, our global issues, the content knowledge, and the developmental appropriateness are shown through the choice of anchor texts, as well as within the instruction of the program daily lesson guides. Here's a quick preview of the full scope of grades 1 through 8 daily lesson guides. Again, they're organized by your theme. Horizontally and vertically, you will see the particular text that are covered here within each one of the themes. The bolded face letters represent the newer daily lesson guides. The spiritual lessons within each one of the daily lesson guides address the worldviews of the Adventist. The essential question and the big ideas are integral parts of those units, and the framework for instruction coincides across each grade level. Paired text is another important component. So you have your core anchor text, and then the paired text complements the anchor text by providing a variety of text types for students to be exposed to. This allows students to compare, differentiate, build knowledge, integrate information, and draw conclusions. And then the paired text, sometimes you'll see more than one reference. You might see things such as magazine articles, speeches, poems, letters, and short stories. Here's an example on this screen capture of the daily lesson guide for rice pudding. Then we get into our worldviews page, which is consistent throughout the design of the template. You'll see the daily lesson guides, complementary anchor text, an example of the paired text. Another important component that both teachers and students will use is the writer's handbook for many lessons, as well as references for language arts, writing, and other skills. The writing handbooks are developed for grades 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. And again, handwriting will be an essential part of the student's skill building, but writing skills is more of what we are going to be concentrating on with this program and the activity of writing. Other resources that you may have already in your classroom are the Random House Book of Poetry, and this book of poetry is used throughout the daily lesson guide and offers illuminations on poems for students. And the Basic Reading Inventory by Jerry John, this resource contains easy to use information regarding assessment tools for examining a variety of reading behaviors. And finally, the guided reading and phonics that appears in the program. Earlier, I made mention of that subscription-based. I know that the NAD has secured a special pricing for the subscription-based learning from Learning A to Z. And this empowers students to study independently through engaging games and based on learning activities. The Learning A to Z uses the actual spelling words contained in the Pathways 2.0 program. So for your classroom organization, when you're doing independent study, students can go to their labs, computer labs, and do some of these activities in order to improve some of their skills. So the next part of this presentation, what I want to do is talk specifically about the teacher manual and the daily lesson guides, because they are such essential components of the program. Then we want to look at the digital resources and logging into our Flourish account and what that would look like for you. And then we'll review the eBooks and the daily lesson guides special offer that Kendall Hunt has, and it will be extending for you. So I think Kim had suggested that if possible, if you would have a hard copy or the actual copy of your teacher manual, and that may be a random daily lesson guide, so you can find the pages that we're referencing and seeing, as I'm speaking through this, some of the key features that I'm talking about. Earlier, I spoke about the fact that the teacher manual is an essential product. It provides the information necessary to build that strong literacy component. And that includes the philosophy of the program, a comprehensive scope and sequence, which is an important tool for you to be able to use, especially if you're a multi-grade teacher. And if you look at that sample that you have, the table of contents really guides you to the location of where you can find them in the daily lesson guides. What components compare from the teacher manual, and where you can find more in-depth coverage in your daily lesson guide. We spoke about the philosophy of the program, but there's more instruction on curriculum assessment, transfer of goals, and general information regarding the curriculum overall. I think also what you'll do is you'll find the appendices of the teacher manual very useful. Here's where you will find a number of the components, the faith connections, the 9 basic themes that we have in the program, and be able to utilize them and share them out with your students. So it's well worth your while to, again, review that teacher manual and discover some of the new key features for yourself. The comprehensive daily lesson guides, again, are a key component, but really what I want to point out to you, no matter what grade level you are teaching, there are 72 of them, there are 9 basic themes, but the design of this particular component is consistent. The template, the location of the key parts of it, the key features are all designed to look the same, so you easily can find and navigate through them. Here's an example of grades 1, and you can see how the consistent look and design is portrayed not only in the interior, but in the covers. Next, I invite you to pick up randomly, maybe you have a daily lesson guide handy in your office area. And if you look at that table of contents, it lists in detail the references in the daily lesson guide and the introduction, the location of the standards addressed by grade level, the suggested assessment activities, and additional resources. This is organized by each unit has 5 appendices as well. Here's where you'll find your printables, your spelling list, the assessments, the answer keys, and the scoring guides, and the other resources that apply specifically to that unit. So right now what we want to do is break down that daily lesson guide. Your unit focus is one of the first pages when you open it up. And in this particular case, it's My World and Others, with a corresponding scripture reference used to connect the unit theme and scripture. Then next you'll see the summary of the author text. Then you'll see the Bible text for the unit, the author information, and the paired texts that are listed. The Adventist worldview is a key component of this. And what we want to do is we'll look at the fact that the biblical-based essential question and the big ideas, these are the theme focus. So again, I would take those those graphics that appear in your teacher's manual, and I would probably put them up in your classroom. So as you're teaching, each student will again be able to go back to what that essential question is and what is the big idea as they go through that theme. So the 9 faith-based connections, again, they're found in the teacher manual, and you can use that in the classroom. You may even want to consider having those laminated or protected so you can use them from year to year. Additionally, the daily lesson guides has the standards that are addressed. The entire standard is included, and the underlying part of the standards is the focus of this unit. The standards are also referenced throughout the unit on the at a glance page and at point of reference within the daily lesson guides. The specific standards that are taught in that daily lesson guide represent the frameworks of the curriculum, also the instructions and the assessment practices that are going to be used in Pathways 2.0. I think the shift to standards-based instruction and learning ensures that all teachers and students adhere to the developmentally appropriate yet rigorous expectations for their students. So I think it's very important to consider really teaching to the fidelity of the program. On our second page, the corresponding facing page is where you'll see the suggested assessments for the English language arts. And here's where you'll find your pre-assessments that include formative assessments and the summative assessments. Note that the pre-assessments is to check where students are. That's not necessarily graded, but you need to understand where they are. The formative assessment is assessing for learning. So you're measuring performance. And then the summative assessments, that's where you're assessing for understanding. So that's where you, at the end of the unit, you could consider applying a grade. And examples of the pre and all the assessments are listed here that address not only vocabulary, spelling, reading, and writing. So that's all summarized for you on that particular page that will help guide you through understanding how your student is progressing through this unit of study. The at a glance page is a great page for you. And there's actually 4 pages that are organized and there's 4 weeks of study. The at a glance planning pages contain the day-to-day or your instructions for assessment, for guiding the teachers, and each component in the literacy block. Each unit is designed for 4 weeks of instruction, and each week has the 5 days of lessons. The at a glance planning pages, again, include the standards, the activity by which you're going to do, and the necessary resources that you're going to need in order to provide that activity. The detailed lessons for word study, reading workshops, and writing workshops follow immediately after that at a glance chart. So here's your literacy block. There's the word study, and each unit of the word study block includes instruction in vocabulary, phonetic awareness, phonics, and spelling for grades 1. And for grades 2 through 8, they cover additional vocabulary and spelling. Reading workshops provide instructions as well as time for learners to read daily in a meaningful way, and that's extremely important. Reading workshops usually encompass 70 or 90 minutes of reading that includes whole group, small group, and independent reading. The anchor text for each one of the themes of the units are the focus of the specific instruction during the reading workshop. However, you can also look at those paired texts and how they can also expand the student's learning. And finally, the third one is your writing workshop, which provides the instruction and time for learning to write in meaningful ways. The block of time for writing workshop again contains the whole group instruction, small group, and independent writing. It's very important that we really want our students to be able to develop their skills, and that will also carry over to other disciplines. This is essential for students as they become a community of writers who give and receive feedback to assure that the user owns the writing and is being able to communicate it appropriately. Next, I'm going to attempt here to get us logged into, which I may have had to close that down. Oh, no, I didn't. Great. I want to talk about our digital resources. Let's see if I can get some of the navigation working here. Oh, shoot. Let's try that again. So for you that are familiar with Flourish, for example, you may have logged in and your bookshelf may look similar to this. Now, I have access to a lot more titles and products that are published by Kendall Hunt Publishing. So my bookshelf is a bit more complex than yours may appear. So right now what I want to do is log in to the teacher's edition. Your teacher edition will come up like looking similar to this. And as we spoke, when you purchase your teacher's edition, you not only receive that in print, but it's a hybrid product. So ways by which to use that ebook, here's your content. It's organized by your table of content. Let's go into the program overview. So it easily, it's used easily by navigating from the content that appears on the table of contents. Then the next tab over is the resources, and these are printable resources. And you can then print out the quantities that you'll need for your classroom. On the navigation bar, again, we looked at the table of contents. We can go in and we can do a search. And the search then will give you references to exactly where a particular word, the word standard, is used. So that's a quick way by which to navigate through this. The other way by which you can do is you can bookmark a number of things. So in this particular sample, I bookmarked a couple of the faith connections title page that I found interesting, the philosophy, and those again are organized by the theme color that you chose. These navigations here enable you to zoom in or zoom out of that particular page. The next component that I want to show you is the daily lesson guide ebooks. I'm going to select grade 5. So when you open up grade 5, this is what your screen capture will probably look at like. We'll see all the single sign-on necessary things that go with that particular grade level. Here we've offered the connection to Writing City and Vocabulary A to Z. Those are quick links, and then you would then use your credentials that you purchased in order to getting access to those. Here's where you'll find the spelling words, a complete list of all the spelling words that are covered in grade 5. And again, they are organized by your theme. So 2 things I'm going to be able to show you here. First of all, possibly when you first purchased the program pre-COVID, you printed or you purchased it in print. The daily lesson guides became available in print. And then the appendices are available online as Blackline Masters. Most recently, as of June.
Lynn, hey, this is Kim. We have a
Yes.
question about how do we get the digital connections, the online version of that? Is there something special that you could send out with us to share for our teachers who may not have that yet?
Oh, yes, I will cover that on one of our last slides here, Kim. And
Super
we'll talk
duper.
about that in more depth and in the special pricing that we've developed regarding that.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. In this particular example, here is the teacher daily lesson guide on dinosaurs. Again, the navigation is pretty easy. You'll use the table of contents to find the particular page that you're looking at. Here's where I just started right up with the introduction. And then what I want to do is go to your weekly at a glance pages. Let's first of all, I want to really reflect on these standards because the standards that are covered within that particular daily lesson guide are also linked on the pages. So the only thing you would have to do is click on that, and that standard then drops down. You don't have to flip back and forth to get an understanding of what standard that I'm trying to cover. Then I'll go to the weekly at a glance. And the weekly at a glance, as you can see, I'm going to make this a 2-page. Well, maybe the 1-page works better. You'll see again the same daily lesson guide at a glance pages that appear in your theme. The appendices are linked. That'll take you right into the appendices that you're going to be using. Oh, I lost my daily lesson guide. Okay. And I want to navigate back. We use our arrows to navigate. So I think those are great features. And if you get into the actual text, I am going to hit my link. I want to go into my page. Then you can go by page or by spread. Again, each one of the standards as well as the Blackline Masters are linked to their location. They will call that right up and you can print them out from there. Go back. So obviously, if you go into the ebook, you'll be able to navigate and find your week that you want to work on. And everything is organized and according to the pages as they are referenced. They're organized by days and then also by week at a glance. So I think the ebooks, the online resources, again, that was new as of COVID. And I think these are going to be very useful. So these became available in June of 2021, and we had some schools transition into that. And we were advertising and marketing it, but you know, there's a lot going on during those times. So what we did is that we had a special offer going on, and we're going to extend that to August of 2022. So basically, your online daily lesson guides are available in ebook. They're easy to access. You have your detailed table of contents, which is your navigation bar, the popped up differentiation of the curriculum standards. Those are easily found. And then the links to the appendices and the printables. So if you've purchased the daily lesson guides already, Kendall Hunt is offering an additional for $20 for 5 years access to the ebooks. And those are for the schools that have already purchased the daily lesson guides. So how does that work? Usually you want to work directly with me. You go through the order form, you identify the daily lesson guide that you are interested in purchasing. Then we will make the pricing adjustment, provide a quote for you, you approve that, and then either for purchase order or credit card, however you select to make the payment, then that order is processed. It takes about 24 to 48 hours to get you onboarded, to get those ebooks populated into your bookshelf. And as you could see, when you'll find those ebooks located in the same location as you were finding your appendices. I hope that answered your question, Kim. Did that help?
Yes, yes, it did. I just think we were kind of caught in the middle of ordering the regular DLGs and then not realizing that we could have that digital access. So I think that's a good explanation. And anything that you could send to us in hard copy that we could share with schools would be excellent.
Right. What I'll do is the flyer that we had posted on our site, I'll make that update where we're extending the date on that and send that your way. Again, the new order form should be used. Send it to me, and then I'll instruct our customer solutions group on making those pricing adjustments.
Thank you for that offer and for that explanation.
So in conclusion, if you have questions relating to Pathways 2.0, please send them my way. And if you have any additional questions and need answering, right now would be a good time, or I can share what my email address, and you can email me regarding any questions relating to Pathways 2.0.
I have a couple of questions. Can we ask now, or do you prefer?
Oh, that's great. So, because it'll probably be a common question other people will be asking. So no question is a bad question.
All right, good. I have a couple actually. My first question is, my school purchased the entire set of 2.0 for our entire school. Last year, we were blessed to be able to have the printed edition for grades 6 through 8. And this year we ordered ebooks instead of the hard copy.
Okay.
So the special pricing that you were talking about, was that for example, in my school, would we have been able to get that special pricing for grades 6 through 8 ebooks since we already had the hard copies in the building?
Yes. If you've already purchased in the last couple of years printed copies that gave you access to the appendices, then what we would do is charge you the difference of $20, and that then would give you access to those ebooks for 5 years.
Would we be able to get some retro discount since we paid full price?
Well, you paid full price for this year, the $60. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but we didn't realize that was that there was a special discount if we already had some of the books in the building.
Oh, okay. So you bought them again for $60?
What we did was we already had 6 through 8 in the building, the hard copy. And we decided to buy ebooks instead of the hard copy. So we did
you should have had a price adjustment for $20.
Okay. So is that something I can pursue and get that?
Yes, send it to me, and I can look up your account, and then we'll definitely honor that. That must have been an oversight, or I don't know what would have happened, other than the fact it's been a very busy year. But we definitely will honor that for you.
All right, awesome. Kim, you had a question?
No, I was just going to say, Lynn, if you would go ahead and put your contact information in the chat box, I think that might help some of our questions that are maybe not whole group. But that's a good question, Sabrina. Thank you for bringing that up. Do we have any other questions at this time?
I have another question.
Okay.
This is on the ebook platform, like when we log into Kindle Hunt and we can see our
Like your
we-
bookshelf?
yes, your
Yeah.
bookshelf. You click on
Yeah.
a theme and then the appendices. On the right side, you have those buttons that lead you to the different resources that you can have. And when we click on, I have vocabulary A to Z. I've purchased when, I don't know if everyone knows that Spelling City was purchased by the Reading A to Z company.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so that website no longer exists. Like it's there if you click on it, but you can't navigate through it or anything.
Mhm.
And so I see the button is still on your webpage. And when I used to have Spelling City,
Mhm.
all of the Pathways 2.0, I could import into Spelling City and use those words there.
Yeah.
But when we transferred over to the vocabulary A to Z, only the list that I had previously imported show up in vocabulary A to Z. And when I called them to ask, can we import the rest? They said no, that was not a feature they offer, and that you had to longhand type in all of your spelling. So I was wondering if you were aware of that, and was there something special we were supposed to do or are supposed to do to have access to that component?
I can address that at one point when this whole merger happened, I know that Martha Band was working with them directly regarding that. At that time, they also had new representatives that she was working with. To my knowledge, I thought that had been resolved. But I think what I'm going to have to do is again reach out to Martha and ask for clarity regarding that.
Okay.
Because
Jonna-
that company is just a resource. It's not a key component. It's not a foundational component. It's a resource in order for you to be able to use. So again, I thought it was resolved, and I thought that was resolved with the special pricing that had been established. But I'm putting a note to that, and I'm going to get clarity on that from Martha.
Thank you.
Jonathan, I don't know if there's anything that you could share on that with our digital subscriptions, or something we may need to address, because I know that someone else was saying they were having issues with Kids A to Z, glitches in the activity. So we may have to do a little investigation on our end.
And
And
that was more during the merger process. I haven't
Mhm.
been hearing anything lately that people have been having some trouble, but I'd certainly be open to hearing if people are having trouble and coordinating with Martha and Lynn to see what we can do. But so far, the company rep has been pretty good about trying to help
Mhm.
straighten things out. So
Yes.
that's
Jonathan,
usually where we end up going anyways.
Mhm.
Jonathan, Esther Martinez posted something in the chat that we were supposed to import all of your lists before we switched over, otherwise they would not transfer at all. That was something that came up in the emails. I remember getting those when we were trying to switch over, and it did specifically have directions as far as like, you had to import every list you had or you were gonna lose it.
Thank you, Brittany. Appreciate that.
thank you, Jonathan. And would it be best if they're having individual concerns to just directly email you? And then we can copy Lynn on it and work with Martha. Does that sound like a game plan?
Right. Yes, anything that relates to reading lane A to Z is in Martha's lane.
Yes.
I always kind of like to know, just so these things that come up, I'm aware of them.
I
And
appreciate
the
that.
other things, anything that relates to Pathways products or log on information, or people have misplaced their password or et cetera, you can send those to me and we'll get those fixed.
Thank you. We do have a question in the chat from Sandy Duran. How does the writer's handbook tie into the daily lessons? Would you share with us about that?
In the writer's handbook, there's often times that, because this is an essential component for the student, many times when they're doing their actual writing, this particular handbook helps for the students as a quick guide for them. As a teacher, as you know, and you may have already covered a particular topic, the writing process, for instance. And it may have been that that particular student might have forgot a step or something. This is a quick handbook for them to look that up. It also is useful for the teachers because the teachers can be aware that that exists. And oftentimes a teacher would say, you know, we covered that the other day, and here's a really good guide for you to look that up. I've been finding that I get a lot of calls actually from parents that just want to purchase this particular book so they would have it at home. So it is useful in the writing process.
Thank you. Thank you. Seeing lots of chat back and forth about maybe some issues that we need to contact Jonathan with. Sometimes it may be a hardware, it may be bandwidth and different things, but I think if we could direct those to Jonathan, it would help him be our point person on that. So thank you so very much.
Mm-hmm.
I do have one more other question. Is Shall Pop still part of the program?
The CHALPOC is part of the program, yes. And those are available. We work with an outside resource regarding that. But that is, and that appears also in the order form. After the grade level 8 tab, then if you, you know, as an Excel document, you want to slide that over, hit your arrow on those, that's where you will find them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Lots of comments. Her email address, was that something that, have we seen that? I was just trying to go back and get that for you.
Right. I will type that in right now.
Thank you, Lynn. We did have one comment earlier, and again, this may be appropriate or something to do research, but it was about that the 7th and 8th grade anchor tests don't seem to have quite the rigor to encourage reading growth. Is there a way that you could address that for us after you're through typing your name?
I would probably have to say what is the specific issue that they're having. If it's in writing, some of the opportunities that they've been able to extend that writing is through the use of paired text, and using the paired text to extend some of those that instruction in writing.
Any more questions? I will read a comment here. This is from one of our folks saying that she was having trouble finding some of the spelling lists, and I found the Pathways vocabulary spelling list on A to Z under custom lessons, shared lessons, and standard curriculum. And that'll be in the chat. So if you want to look at that later, that would be great. Do have a comment here. The Lexile complexity does not necessarily match what is part of the MAPS assessment. And Lynn, that's something that we kind of saw a fall in our language arts MAPS. Of course, last year was our first year to that. And so I don't know if you or maybe even Jana could hop in to address that for us, please.
I think regarding the Lexile leveling, when we had done the leveling, we received the actual titles and then paired those up. But Jana, if you have another, you know, from a different angle regarding Lexile leveling, please address it.
Yeah, I don't really have any more information on that. And I do think that the reason why Pathways moved some books around was to kind of address the leveling. Is that not correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
There is a document that is available online, but I can also share it. I believe it's on the dashboard, the SDA NAD dashboard. But if there's a particular person that is looking for it, I certainly can pull that out of my folder and email that. Again, use my email address with the request, and I can attach that as a document.
Thank you. Any more questions? I'm trying to go through the chat here. Lots of suggestions to each other, to the group, different things that we're using as supplements. It's good time for us to share. It's too bad we can't be in person write these down and email each other. But as you look at the chat box, if there's a particular teacher.
There is one from Sabrina.
Okay.
So Sabrina, why don't you go ahead and share your question about TLG and ebooks?
I'm sorry, not trying to monopolize, but I just wanted to get clarity. When you were first discussing the lesson guide, you were showing that there is a digital component to it. And then there is an ebook. I wanted to know if that digital resource comes with the purchase of the hard copy book, or were you just showing us the ebook? Are they two different things?
Okay, so one thing, you referenced the $60. So the $60 includes print and online ebook. We've had some schools that just wanted the ebook alone, and that's what is $50. So when I was showing that particular slide, I was showing the cover of the daily lesson guide that coincided to, a laptop that showed the online access. So does that help answer your question? Or did I confuse you? Oh,
No, thank you
yeah,
very much.
okay,
Yeah.
all righty, good.
Sabrina, you're just being brave and asking those questions that we all have, so thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm looking for any new messages. I think we're good to go. One of the things that I do want to share with you, and I'll see if I can pull this up. Lynn, do you have any last comments from us? And then we're just going to talk about how we can utilize the resources that are on the Kendall Hut website to be able to acquire more professional development and non-academic clock hours. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we go to that?
No, I really don't. I really appreciate everyone's patience as we were troubleshooting our road trip here. Thank you very much for that time. And then I believe, Kim, you were going to also share out some of those short video clips that are available for different skill developments and teaching strategies.
Yes, what we're going to do, and I'm going to try to pull that up right now, believe it or not. There may be miracles that happen after all. Okay, what this is actually an attachment that you will get with an email either late this afternoon or tomorrow that is showing you all of the different videos that you can watch. Some of them are some reading materials about different strategies. And this one doesn't have the actual grade level posted beside it, but each one of these will tell you whether it's a second grade or a third grade, but it's just a sample lesson of about 11 minutes, 22 minutes. And even though you may be, go to my slideshow. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. It's so good to have a boss that's helpful. Thank you. Let me get to that right quick. Be a little easier for you guys to see. But this will be the sheet that you'll be seeing. Here's the Pathways site that you'll go to, and then this is just like a tally sheet to be able to keep up with which things you watched and then be able to come up with the hours. The one good thing about it, even though it may be a second or a third grade lesson, that is a sample there. If you are a beginning teacher with us, these are great videos to watch that can be applied to many grade levels. There's multi-grade tab, there's assessment tools, writer's workshop, word study, reading workshop, and then just some general overview videos. So we'll be sending that to you so that you can go directly to that, and in your pajamas at 10 o'clock at night or whenever you choose to, this is how to earn additional professional development that is correlated with the Pathways 2.0. Lynn, we did have one question, and the question was, what if we don't have 2.0? What do we need to do?
Well, my recommendation, I don't know if they're hearing this.
They're hearing you, yes.
Okay,
yes.
super. Here's what my recommendation would be. Again, that Pathways first edition has been out of print for the last 2 or 3 years for us, and it's no longer available. However, if teachers and schools still have it, I think I would work on transitioning your grade levels. It may be an affordability issue, but the great thing is there's 27 new anchor text. So a lot of the product you already have in your classroom probably. And then I would look at, maybe you want to start implementing it on that odd even, because I do have schools that do that. They might not even be multi-grade, but they're looking at consolidation of cost and starting at a grade level and then transitioning upward into the grades that they would need. So that would be one way to make it a little bit more affordable. But I would really highly recommend, especially when it comes to the standards that are being taught and the expectations of outcomes and how they relate to assessments, I would highly recommend that the transition start.
Well, thank you very much. And that's something that our schools have been easing into many times because of small enrollment numbers, also with just limited funds. But
Yes.
knowing that the program is growing, and this gives us an opportunity to have a fresh start. If we've not been using it, then we have some education and how better to use it, and then maybe plan for purchasing budgets next year. So I think that's great. And I know that.
Good. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know that Jana has some PLCs, and there may be a group then that would like to begin studying this and working together in this. So Jana, I know we've got 4 PLCs going right now, and this might be someone that has interest for that. So appreciate it very much.
So Kim, there's a question that would affect everyone. From Angie Weems. In order to get CEU hours, do we have to write any reports or reviews of the videos?
No, that's the good thing about this. In the Southern Union CEU form, you are allowed to watch videos, YouTube videos, any number of different activities, and it's based on clock hours. And that then is usually in activity E or activity F, and we'll have that information attached to the email that goes out today, and kind of give us all an opportunity to begin thinking about the year and collecting documentation. So I appreciate you asking about the documentation. I think, some things, and then I will tell you that Dr. Sandy Duran is going to be doing a presentation this afternoon about 3 Angels curriculum for kids, and does have some through Hope Visits 365 Bible Studies, does have some online CEU opportunities. And many times the difference between a clock hour of just watching a video or a CEU is that there is some kind of assignment and accountability at the end, just as there is in the Adventist learning community and things like that. So good question. Appreciate that, Angie. Any other questions?
Well, and Jana wants to remind everyone that if you want to participate in the Pathways PLC, to let her know directly and she'll hook you up.